I wanted to talk a little bit about eyes and start out with an exercise. Loud enough? Yeah. Okay, so at one point during my history as teaching Rebecca students in festivals, I started wanting to see how fast people could move their eyes back and forth. And what I discovered is that to read music, you have to really be able to be accurate and quick with your eye movements, because you're having to see you have to see ahead. I mean, it's like a pretty difficult job. And so I started using a metronome to see how fast people could move their eyes back and forth. And many of the pianists were way above average in terms of their eye speeds. They could move their eyes at something like 200 times a minute. Whereas the average adult goes from, say, 90 to 120. But some of the piano students weren't as good as 200 or even 190, but they were more like an average adult eye movement speed. And what I came to find out was the people who had problems with sight reading tended to have slower eye movements than the ones who were really fast. So, using a metronome to increase your eye movement speed as a kind of practice experience can actually improve your speed. So that's what we're going to do a little bit today. So this is the 60 beats a minute, and what I want you to do is start here, and on the next beat, and I just want to remind you to keep breathing. I mean, I sometimes use this, and you can stop. I sometimes use this to give people the experience. I'm crazy. The experience of what it feels like when you're holding your breath. Because most of you probably said, "Oh, I wasn't breathing." If you're just moving your eyes back and forth at 1 beat a second, it's like I have to hold my breath to be able to do that. You know, it's like, okay. So it's a way of increasing your attention span for keeping your breathing going. So let's do this again. So when I go fast enough that you can't quite do it, then raise your hand so I know where we are. Oh, it's a very good breath. Anybody still do it? Okay. So, just for my own experiment, the people who couldn't do it, you feel like you're worse at sight reading than other people? I don't know how true that is, what I've discovered year after year. You understand the question? Yeah. So nobody's about to say, yeah, I'm a lousy sight reader. Okay. It works better one-on-one. Anyway, so so here's 100. Let's try this for a few minutes. Remember to breathe. Kind of see where you are in terms of whether you're getting tense to do it or whether you can do it in a relaxed way. So what can happen, I call this meditation eye movements. Because in meditation, you're kind of doing a one-pointed consciousness, where you keep your mind on one thing for as long as you can. And the question is, if you're doing it with respect to movement of your eyes in this case, it's kind of a meditation. And so by practicing this, you can actually teach yourself to go into kind of a meditative awareness, mindfulness awareness, by being aware of it. So, so I want to talk a little bit about rituals. So, if every time you went to practice, you did some breathing, maybe some meditation eye movements, some body work on yourself in terms of loosening up your fingers, loosening up your arms, working on any places that are a little bit uncomfortable in your body. I think you've learned a little bit about piano bench yoga. So if you just make a series of things that you can do, that at the end of it, your mind is more clear and your sense of being uptight or more loose, more engaged, improves. And you do this every time you're going to sit down and practice. And then you're about to go in for a lesson, or you're about to do some kind of I want to say presentation, but concert, some kind of a recital. If you do that before you go on, especially if you keep breathing, then you're going to be better off because you've kind of trained your body to expect a positive outcome from doing this little ritual, whatever it is that you decide. And then say, okay, what happens to a lot of people is they go, well, I'm going to be next, and then they hold their breath for long periods of time in anxiety about being the next one to play or in a competition. So the idea of creating some kind of a step-by-step, 5-minute, 3-minute, 10-minute, whatever you want, kind of introduction or ritual before you actually practice, or if you start to fall apart during the practice, say, well, let me go back into my little ritual, maybe I won't do it as long. And what happens is your body begins to expect that, and you begin to be much more productive because you've taken that little bit of time. Anyway, you get the idea that it doesn't have to be that far away. It's easier to do it, in a kind of average size. If you have real close together ones, like you would say when you were reading music, it's much harder to make that little quick movement, kind of reverse your direction. And if you make a really big one, it takes too much time to go all the way across. So if you see if I have it here. So you want to practice it not just horizontally, but you also want to do it vertically or diagonally if you're going to do this. So it's worth trying, and you'll find that pretty soon you can breathe through the whole time, and that you're actually being able to increase your speed. And I think that'll have some impact on your ability to be more comfortable while you're doing all of the things that you have to do to look at, especially new music or something you're learning, with more relaxation, with more intention. So that's the eye movement, meditation eye movement exercise. It becomes something that reduces your anxiety because you're meditating. So that's one of the things that I wanted to mention. So there are many different approaches to body therapy. More and more, it seems like every year there's 3 or 4 new things that people have. Before it just used to be yoga, and then there was yoga and massage, and then this kind of massage and that kind of massage. So there's different kinds of ways that you can work on your own body. And I want to mention a couple of books. This one is called Trigger Point. And Trigger Point is that in your body, if you have a pain in your neck, you might be able to push something on your shoulder or in the back of your clavicle, which is this muscle here, scapula, this one here. You might be able to relax someplace in your neck from pushing on another place. And that's what's called the trigger point. If you're going to massage yourself, you get really tired. You know, it takes it, you say, oh, I can only do this, and now the other hand goes. But you can use other things like balls. And so the Miracle Ball book, which used to be $12, included 2 balls. Which I thought was very nice to them to do that. So you have balls like this, and you say, well, I'm going to lie down on the floor, and I'm going to put the ball right in the small of my back, or maybe even sitting down. Gee, that feels great. And then you just relax and breathe, maybe do some eye movements at the same time. You can actually change the comfort and the health of your balance and in your body. So that's the Miracle Ball balls. It actually says it right on there. But you can also work with tennis balls. So here's a tennis ball. Prince tennis ball. So you say, okay, I don't want to have that pain in my forearm or my shoulder anymore. And you say, okay, I'm going to work on it. And you kind of put it in a place where you have a little bit of pain, and you just kind of push on it, and you move, and you kind of follow the pain. You say, gee, I have a pain down here too. But you can do it on the tabletop. You can do it on the piano bench, another piano bench. So it's a nice way to work on yourself. Same thing as you can put it on, you can stand up against the wall, and you can put it right in a place in your shoulder that controls how much pain you have in your chest or on the side of your body. You can work on yourself just by saying, yeah, you know, there's something here. I'm going to put this ball right there, and that feels really good. And you push on it. So you're using big muscles, so you're not going to get tired. If you're using your hand, hand to push it down, then your whole side, your other side of your body gets tight. You can also put a ball inside of a bag or a sock, and then leave the water with this. But you can also You know, say, okay, this is where it really hurts, right in this part of my back. And you can kind of get on the wall and say, okay, oh, that feels really good. Ah. Right? So the balls all come in different sizes. Now, if you happen to have glasses or vision problems, you can actually help to reduce those by using balls also. And you don't want to do it right on your eye, but there's a nice little ball. It's a cat toy. Oh, this is I don't know what it is. They sell these kind in all kinds of places. Soft, not real hard. And they all have their own functions. And so one of the things you can do with a smaller ball, and they even have small ones, you know, these high bounce balls. I can't remember what they call them. But you can work right around your eye. There's all these acupuncture points here. And as long as you kind of find the spot and say, oh, that's interesting, that's painful. I like that pain. I mean, there's a kind of, you know, it's like when you scratch yourself, you're actually hurting yourself, right? But it feels good. And you do the same with pain. You know, you push on the pain and there's a place where it actually feels really good. And you just kind of stay with that. Is that a question?
Yeah, I have a question. Does that just help keep your vision from getting worse, or does it actually, like, maybe help your vision get better? Or like...
It can do both. One of the things that I did when I was in school, I mean, when I was practicing, getting more and more involved in alternative methods of helping people have better eyesight. Before I did that, I actually worked on my own nearsightedness. And there's a system called the BATES system, B-A-T-E-S. It's about 100 years old. And he was an ophthalmologist, a highly regarded scientist in terms of the eyes. And at some point, he said, you know, what we're doing is wrong. People come in, they're nearsighted, so we give them glasses. And they come back a year or two later, now they need stronger glasses. So obviously we're not helping them. We're just making it easier for them to see, but we're not giving them any kind of exercise, any kind of thing to do to reverse that trend. In fact, we have the pandemic, which is the COVID, but there's another pandemic, which is that people all over the world are becoming more and more nearsighted. I read an article that was talking about that, and I think it was 19-year-olds in Seoul, Korea, something like 95% of them were myopic. So it's really gotten to be, and the problem is that for most people they get more myopic to a certain point. Some people don't get myopic until they're 16 or 17 years old. Sometimes older people, they change their job, they're suddenly not a salesman going out and selling things, but they've been promoted to being somebody that's in the office and keeps track of everybody else. And so now they're sitting in front of a computer for 6 hours a day, and now suddenly they've gotten nearsighted. So Pace was really into finding ways of helping people. He was ridiculed by his colleagues, but I was kind of interested. I was a little nearsighted, I was an optometrist. Let me see if it works. And so I began to work on myself, and I got better. I could feel my eyes getting better doing all those exercises. And then I kind of plateaued. I couldn't progress anymore. And I read about using balls on your body to improve your chiropractic adjustments and body pain and so forth. And I started working on my face using balls, just like I'm describing now. Especially right in the back of the neck, not all the way down at the bottom, but they're right up maybe an inch or so above that. You'll feel a little concave area in your skull. Like there's a little indentation that goes across. It's about that long. Everybody's is a little bit different. And so you can work, you know, if you're lying on the floor or next to the wall, you can actually take that ball and work in those areas. And what happened to me was I began to find that in certain places, the pain would not only be where the ball was, but I could feel it in my eye. I could feel some kind of tugging going on right in my eyeball. And I would just kind of relax and see if I could just relax, and pretty soon that pain would go away. And so not long after that, when I started doing it, I liked it. I craved doing it. And I started to get better. And pretty soon, I was no longer nearsighted. So it happens. It's also very healthy. And I'll give a little bit of overview of it in case you're interested. One of the things that's become really popular, I mean, nobody knows why people get nearsighted and why chickens get nearsighted. But there's no settled, this is it. There's theories, but there's no settled science on why people get nearsighted. But one of the things they found was that the more time a child or a person spent outside in the light, the less likely they were to get nearsighted. Part of it is maybe the ultraviolet light that increases your vitamin D. Part of it is that when we're inside, especially when we're looking at something for a long period of time, like music or a computer, you're looking at one distance, you're looking at one brightness, and you're not moving your eyes around. If you're outside, if I think of like the cavemen, you know, they were in the dark, and in the daytime they came out, and then they were in shade, they were in light, they could go in the cave again. So there was a lot of change in their environment. But we're sitting for long periods of time without changing the distance, without changing the brightness, and straining the whole time to really be able to concentrate well, instead of doing it in a more relaxed kind of way. So going outside, or even sitting where there's a light near your, especially daylight, near where you're working, you want to make that change, because when you go from light to dark, like you go from the sunshine, and then you cover your eyes, your pupils get big. When you get into light, the pupils get small, and then so forth. So if you went like that for 2 to 3 minutes, and then went like that, you're going to be changing your pupil size. And one of the things that happens right at the same area where the iris of the eye, the colored part of your eye, right as it turns white, on what's called sclera, right behind that is a place where the fluid in your eye that feeds your eye, feeds your cornea and your lens, that fluid goes out through a little opening right behind where the colored part of the eye meets the white part of the eye. And so when your pupil gets really small, it kind of tugs on that place, because it's also where the pupil connects. And it tugs on that place, and it creates a little more opening. And then you get into the light, and then your pupil gets really small, and that's when it. So you're kind of pumping that fluid through your eye, which is very, very healthy. When you're kind of living in a situation where you're not changing very much in the environment or the distance, then you can begin to create different difficulties with your eye. One of the problems with especially high nearsightedness is that they're much more likely to have cataracts, much more likely to have macular degeneration and glaucoma. So there's a cost to that. So the more you can do to keep your eyes healthy, by going outside in the sun, and even facing the sun or bright light in your house, and just moving your head back and forth and feeling the warmth of the sun on your eyes. That stimulates a lot of really positive things in your eyes. It increases the circulation in your retina. It changes your pupil size. It's a really healthy thing to do. So generally every time I leave a building, I just do 30 seconds or so of that. And then when I feel like really exercising it, I will do it for longer periods. I might do 20 breaths of moving the sun back and forth as I move my head back and forth, and then I'll do 10 breaths like this. And I'll do this. So I'm just doing this habit, this good habit of increasing the potential health of my eyes and perhaps making my vision improve. There are other ones that are part of this big system. Covering your eyes, called palming, is a way of relaxing. So if you're practicing and trying to learn peace and you're starting to feel the stress of it, you say, wait a minute, I'm going to breathe and cover my eyes. You can rest your elbows on the floorboard and just breathe and relax. You can put a little timer on if you want. Say, I'm going to do this, and you want to keep breathing the whole time. And what you're doing is you're actually de-stressing your eyes. And what happens to most people, especially people as smart as you are, is that you're really straining your eyes without even recognizing it, because you're trying to get done with what you're doing. You're trying to learn. And that's not such a great thing to do for your eye health. So being able to take a break, but what they said, it's stress. It's making an effort, harder and harder effort to do things. If you make a harder and harder effort when you're trying to play a beautiful piece on the piano, it's not going to sound as beautiful. But if you can be in it in a different kind of way, that'll carry through, and the people listening will feel that too. So part of what Bates is teaching is how to look at things. And one of the things he's talking about is, for a lot of people, where their eye is aiming, there's a specific place in the eye that when I look at something, I move my eye so the image that I'm looking for, the letter or the note or whatever it is, that falls on this one particular part of the eye called the fovea. It's right in the middle. So when I look over here, I'm lining my eye up so that the information will fall on that part of my eye or eyes. So it's, but for some people, where they're paying attention is not coordinated with where their eyes are aiming. And so they're under a kind of stress because there's some kind of a thing that's going on. So he calls that central fixation, learning how to look and see smaller and smaller details without straining, but aligning your line of sight with your line of attention. And so William Bates is the name of this guy. There's a lot of different books out about the Bates system. It's something you can learn on your own. There are things now on computers that you can find on different websites and so forth on how to do some of these exercises. So this one I call Chopsticks Fusion. And let's see if you can do it. How's it going? Okay, so I want you to take two of these. Okay, everybody have two? If you want a real chopstick, I have a pair here. So, if you look at me and you hold one chopstick, right, and put one pointer right in front of your face, you should see 2 pointers. Yeah, so what a lot of people do, to check yourself for this, is they're putting it in front of one eye. There's a real dominance on some eye, they'll put it in front of that eye instead of right in front of their nose. So you see 2? Anybody not see 2? Okay, so if you have 2 of them, then you're going to see 4, because each one is going to be double. But you have to hold them close enough together.
Yes.
And you have to keep looking at me or something. See 2? So you're not looking at the sticks, you're looking at me, and hold them about an inch apart.
We're supposed to see 4?
Supposed to see 4, because each one is double. There's 2 of them, so it makes 4. Everybody got it? Okay. Okay, so there's another way to see 4, and that is that if you look at your finger and you hold the sticks out behind your finger, then you'll see 4, or possibly 3. So hold them about that far apart. Put your finger even with the top of them, and look at your finger, and you might see 3 of them. If you don't see 3, but you see 4, then you can move the sticks around, or you can move your finger around. Now, don't forget, you're looking at your finger. Everybody got it? Yeah. Any questions? Anybody see 3? Anybody not see 3? Oh, it's your birthday, you don't have it. So you're holding your finger about halfway between the sticks, and then you can move the sticks closer or farther. Okay, so look at your finger. You see 3 sticks, and now put your finger a little bit to the left or to the right of the middle stick, and notice whether, as you move it back and forth, now you're looking at the middle stick. Okay? And you'll notice that at some point your finger looks farther away than the middle stick. And you have to come pretty close, close for it. Now the finger, in my case, my finger is closer to me than the stick. Now it's a little bit farther away than the stick. Can anybody not see that? That's pretty hard to do in a big group like that. You see it?
I have problems with my eyes.
Maybe this can change it. Okay, so here we go. It's important that you don't put these farther apart than your eyes are, because unless you have a problem, you're not going to be able to not divert your eyes enough to see it. It has to be closer. It's got to be, no more than how far apart your eyes are. So if you look at me again, and you put these so that it's not over one eye, but that it's right in the middle, then you should see 3 sticks. And you can adjust the sticks a little bit to make the middle one a little bit more. Okay, got 3 now? And so the question is, how far away is that middle stick? And you see the tree leaves, you say, oh my God, it's all the way out to the first row. So you're holding a little bit too far that way. That's better. And then you want to adjust the separation a little bit to make Right, okay? So, but what happens is the middle stick, depending upon whether you're crossing your eyes and looking closer, or whether you're looking farther, the middle stick will begin to appear to be at a different distance away from you than the other sticks. Okay? I like to all intervene. And so I can look at somebody, and I can move the sticks, and now the stick is farther away than the last row. And now it's so what you want to be able to do, is to look at various distances and be able to say, oh, now it's behind her, now it's in front of her. I'm going to look up at that projector. Now it's behind the projector. Now it's in front of the projector. And if I put them really close together, it almost feels like I can touch it. Okay? So that's the exercise. You can use chopsticks. These are barbecue skewers for making shish kebab. But what happens is, if you play with this, it's going to increase your depth perception. Okay? Your three-dimensional depth perception. And see that when I look at that wall, it really looks as far away as it is. Okay? I can prove it by saying, I can go a little bit behind it because there's a little space behind it over there. So if you play with this, if you sit down at the piano, for example, and you say, okay, the edge of the piano, now I'm lined up with it, and now I'm going to look at that picture on the wall, and now I'm right on it. You can begin to compare and get a much stronger idea of your aiming of your eyes and how far away things are from you. Because when you're looking at a certain distance, if I look at this distance, I have to change the focus, the optical focus of my eyes, so that it's in focus at this distance. And I've got also to change how much my eyes are turning in to be able to see single. Okay, so when you look at something, you're having to look in terms of the aiming of your eyes and in terms of the focusing of your optics. And a lot of people have a discrepancy because when they aim their eyes here, their focus is out here. And so they're constantly straining to not see double and to keep things clear. And that struggle, that strain, then manifests itself in needing glasses or getting tired eyes and so forth. So this is one exercise that if you practice it 6 minutes, 7 minutes, several times a day, then you can say, okay, I'm going to do the edge of that chair. Now it's in front of the chair, now it's behind the edge. Oh, there's that handle, I can make it between the wall and the handle. It gives you a much stronger sense of like the solidness of space. And so when you look out at an audience, you'll see the solidness of the volume of the room, the volume of the room, how much room people are taking up. And I think that would have some kind of an effect on how you project your sound, because now you're really seeing something that's much more appropriate for the size of the room and how far away people are from you. But eventually you can get the sense of that you're actually looking out of your eyes at something. It's almost like there's a place in the brain that you look from through your eyes. And a lot of people it throws everything off to not be able to do that. And so there's strain and stress, and people don't notice it because these things kind of come up on you secretly, subtly, and then pretty soon anything other than that feels like something's wrong, like posture. There's a lot of people who stand like that. I'm perfectly happy. You say, no, you should be standing like this. They go, oh, no, you're trying to make me fall over. Because we kind of adapt ourselves to our habits. When we change it, one of the problems is that we have to become accustomed to something that's different from what our usual habit is. Anyway, you can keep your sticks. Just for my own information, how many people were able to see that? Some depth. Okay, good. So it's kind of fun. You say, wow, I have no idea that's, I can't even reach it. I can't even get close to it. And then you begin to say, well, oh, now I see that way. Might take a month or two, but it's a really powerful exercise. It can help you, prevent you from having worse eyes, might be able to reverse your vision in terms of getting less nearsighted. And it helped me